Hey there, and I want to make this video because of the current state of affairs, really, of where we seem to be finding ourselves at the moment, this kind of world crisis that we're in. I want to talk a little bit kind of generally about stress and immunity, and critically how we can look after ourselves. What is it that really affects us? So there's a huge amount going on. There's a mass hysteria that's happening right now. And it's very difficult to know what to believe. We've got news, we've got fake news. Being aware of what we expose ourselves to is absolutely crucial. Many people will be full on 10 on their stress gauge, and that when we're in that kind of mode of massively stressed, it means the higher thinking centers of the brain shut down and we just get locked in survival mode. Because this is why we see panic buying, anger, aggression, arguments, people behaving out of character to how they normally would. And of course what we want to do is try to collectively become grounded and calmer, understanding where our experience comes from. Because emotion spreads like wildfire, it's contagious. So when we are feeling fear and we put our attention on fear, we can take that out. We can spread it out. It's quite easy. The more you focus on things that generate fear for you, the more fear you'll feel, the more fear you'll generate. Now, I'm not saying that the things outside of you are directly causing that fear, because that comes from inside of you. But even so, it's that knowing that our emotion is contagious and we're going to pick stuff up and transmute that internally into a feeling state for us, a feeling state of fear, which will give rise to stress, is really important. Because essentially stress is going to affect our immune system. I mean, going back to the early 1980s, scientists found that stress affected the immune response in animals, and this was quickly followed up with research looking at students, where they found that students that were taking tests and exams had a lowered immune response, therefore more likely to pick up infection. Now, again, I think what's really important with this point is that it's not that exams in and of themselves made or caused students to be stressed and fearful. That comes from inside of us. That fear response comes from inside of us, but it can be collective, and that's the spreading idea. Remembering and taking home that piece that actually my response is, a lot of it comes from my belief. For those students, it's the importance of the tests to them. It's what they witness. But I think it's important to know that that fear response does come from within me. Even though I may not be able to kind of change it in the moment, it does come from inside of me. So what I put my attention upon is really important. So there's that first idea that stress is going to weaken the immune system. And that's the irony right now, isn't it? That the more stress and fear we experience, the more our immune system is suppressed. It kind of stress effectively wreaks havoc within body and brain. Short-term stress is absolutely fine for us, but when we get on to longer-term stress, and this is the conclusion from academics, when we're looking into just days of being stuck in the stress response are going to cause, major damage really within body and brain through that stress response being locked on. So what we want to try to do is see if we can regulate ourselves, see if we can understand what it is that leads to a perpetual stress response. Look at how we can be empowered and take a little bit of charge of our own experience. So in looking at it from that perspective, the first thing that we need to do is be mindful of where we are placing our attention. Even though belief is causing a huge amount of what goes on for us, because of this idea of emotion being contagious, if we are placing our attention on, if you're watching a lot of news, you're scouring the internet for articles, you're looking at stories, you're on social media looking at, a whole variety of things, which may then result in your body producing fear. then the more you focus your attention upon that, the more fear is going to be created inside of you. Now, I'm not saying that we need to stick our heads in the sand. We do need to be informed, but being aware of how your body is responding is extremely important. So I would suggest limiting your exposure to material that is going to create or facilitate that sort of response in you. Stay informed, stay safe, but at the same time be aware of that response inside of you, because we do need to feel the emotion that we have. We don't want to be suppressing that emotion, because when we suppress our emotion, that again facilitates a stress response or keeps the body locked in a stress response. So it's important to feel the emotion. So whether it's fear, whether it's anger, whatever it may be, feeling it, because emotion comes and goes. It's like there's a wave that will come up and then it'll die down, and it'll present itself as a physical sensation in the body. So allow yourself to feel the sensations of the emotion, but stay in the body and feel them. What often happens is emotion is produced in the body, the thinking centers of the brain light up, and then we get caught in a mental churning, and the type of thinking is affected by the type of emotion that we're feeling. So if it's fear-based emotion, it's going to be fear-based thinking, and then you get a loop that goes round and round and round, and your internally generated reality is one of survival, one of fear, and which is again not good for your health. So limit what you're exposing yourself to, but feel the emotions that you have, stay in the body, and avoid getting caught up in that mental churning. When it comes to regulating yourself and regulating the stress response, the next step is to be aware of your breathing. Allow yourself to breathe in a nice rhythmic fashion. This is not necessarily deep breathing, but a steady in and out from your stomach facilitates a regulation of the nervous system, which is extremely important when we are in a stressed state. So coming back into the body, breathing in a regular way, paying attention to the sensations, allowing the sensations that are in your body without getting caught up in your head, starts that process of regulating. Now, the next bit is connection. There's an irony here that we are being invited to isolate. And if you need to do that, then those are the steps you need to take. However, as human beings, social connection is part of the process that regulates us. Because we're social beings, simply being with people or connecting or communicating with people can help us to regulate our nervous system. So if you're isolated, if you're at home, then reach out. If you know somebody who is at home on their own, reach out to them. Pick up the phone, get on FaceTime, get on Skype. Make sure you're connecting with people. But also do your best to be present in the moment. This is times like these where, in modern life, we're very often up in our head. We're thinking about the future. We're thinking about the next 6 things that we have to do. We're very rarely present in the moment. In situations like this, where we need to facilitate collective calm, collective groundedness, if you will, then ideally what we want to be doing is being present in the moment, putting our attention into whatever task we're doing. If you're talking to somebody, whether in person, whether on the phone, whether online, be present in that moment, be present with them, because you'll be doing both of you a favor. So those are my tips to staying healthy. Collectively, we will come through this. This is a kind of a bit of a time for change for us to sort of raise our consciousness, if you will, to take a look at the way we deal with things, to the way we look at how we deal with ourselves. Human beings are incredibly resourceful and resilient. So there is no doubt to me that we will develop and grow as we go through this. Be safe, be well, and see you soon.